The EU is banning the use of carbon fibre in the manufacturing of motor vehicles from 2029. It is Carbongeddon. Or at least that's what some of the social media posts that have been going around would have you believe. Even the stock prices of carbon fibre manufacturers around the world fell through the floor just as the news of this potential ban came to light. But that was it. It was just a potential ban. It was a draft amendment made to the Directive on end-of-life vehicles within the EU. But that has certainly been deferred for now. So let's cut through the fiction, get into the facts, and talk about why is carbon fibre now of a concern, what are the health risks associated with it, and what do we need to do if this material is going to continue to be used in the manufacturing of motor vehicles. Now, there are all sorts of regulations in the manufacturing of motor vehicles across countries all over the world, not least in terms of safety, but also in terms of what happens to the vehicle once it gets to the end of its life. And this is where the EU Directive on end-of-life vehicles comes in. In that directive, which has been around for some time, there are a number of materials that are poisonous or harmful that are banned from use in the manufacturing of motor vehicles. Some of those include lead, mercury, chromium. Now, over time, there have been a number of amendments to this directive, updating it as we learn more. And earlier this year, one proposal was made, which was to include carbon fibre in the list of materials banned from use in the manufacturing of motor vehicles. And this is because there are some health risks and health concerns in the long term with carbon fibre. Historically, carbon fibre wasn't used that extensively. It was introduced into motorsport in the mid to late 80s by McLaren. They had taken inspiration from the aviation industry. And the backstory to that is over on JayEmm Cars, where we shot an interview with Steve Nichols, one of the people involved in the design of the MP44. He was involved in the earlier years with the MP41, where carbon fibre was introduced into Formula One for the first time. Now, obviously, carbon fibre is used extensively because of its lightweight and strength properties. After McLaren's success in the use of carbon fibre, that then spread throughout Formula One and was used extensively across motorsport ever since. Today, there are so many parts, many of which you wouldn't even imagine were made from carbon fibre. Because of the cost of manufacturing carbon fibre was so high, generally it was only found in specialised applications like motorsport or exotic cars, like the one behind me. Over time, as we've developed new and better ways of making carbon fibre that's more affordable, more viable for other applications, then it's been finding its way into more and more vehicles. And when carbon fibre started to make its way into more mainstream vehicles, it wasn't always in places you could see. For example, the Nissan 350Z had a prop shaft made of carbon fibre, connecting the transmission to the rear axle. And then in other vehicles, sometimes it was being used in body panels or in structural elements of the car. And these days, there are numerous cars, especially supercars like the McLaren, where the entire tub of the car is made of carbon fibre. In fact, the BMW i3, I learned recently, has a carbon tub. It just goes to show you how widespread the use of this material has become. What do you do when a vehicle gets to the end of its life and you've got to do something with that carbon fibre? Well, historically, when there weren't that many vehicles being made with carbon fibre parts, and many of them would be preserved over a long period of time, there just wasn't a huge amount of carbon fibre to get rid of. Whereas now, more companies have been looking into how do they recycle carbon fibre. And this is where the problem lies. Now that we're having to think more about recycling of carbon fibre, we also have to think about the impact on the environment and the risk to people's health. Now let's just talk about the environment briefly. There are different ways of recycling carbon fibre, and there's many more channels out there that know much more about that than me, that I'm sure that you'll go and research and find out more about afterwards. But in short, one of them involves essentially heating up to very high temperatures. That results in it giving off some pretty toxic gases or breaking it down physically. Now, the reported concern has been about what happens when you break down carbon fibre and how its tiny little fibres can actually then penetrate the skin and cause irritation, amongst other issues. This is why when working with carbon fibre, it's very important to wear proper PPE. However, another concern exists as to what can happen to the human body when carbon fibre is broken down. You see, it turns out that carbon fibre, when it's broken down, can have a similar impact on human beings as asbestos. And if you know anything about asbestos, you know that that is a pretty horrible material that can cause cancer. And the way it does so is the tiny little fibres, when released into the air, can be inhaled by human beings. They attach themselves to our lungs. Our lungs try to fight them out. That causes scarring on our lungs. And then that scarring can then get out of hand and turn into lung cancer. Unfortunately, the tiny little fibres in carbon fibre have similar properties. And in fact, the use of new resins that include carbon nanotubes means that this material is now even more like asbestos. So there are some serious concerns about what happens to carbon fibre when it's broken apart for the purposes of recycling. Now, it turned out that the presence of carbon fibre on this list on the Directive of end-of-life vehicles didn't stay there for very long. In fact, it was removed pretty soon after. This has also been confirmed by Motor One Italia through direct conversations with people in the European government. Whilst this might have been introduced as a draft amendment to the end-of-life vehicle directive, I just don't think it was a practical one. I mean, when you think about it, it's only 4 years away. And is it realistic for all the manufacturers to remove the carbon fibre from the structural elements of the cars as they are today? This would mean a whole lot of crash testing for the replacement of carbon fibre in new vehicles in the next 4 years. Let's face it, that's not realistic to happen. But given what we've learned today, it's not surprising that it did find its way into a proposal in the first place. Now, of course, there are other composite materials that might be able to replace carbon fibre in the long term. However, when you think about how much R&D has gone into using carbon fibre today, it's not a straightforward thing for car manufacturers to just suddenly say, oh, well, we can't use carbon fibre anymore. Well, I guess it's over. In about 4 years, we'll have to bring out a whole new set of vehicles with new chassis, new structural elements that no longer use carbon fibre. This would be a huge blow to the motor industry. And I think that is the reason why it's been removed from the list for now. So what I think has possibly happened is, as more concerns have come to light regarding carbon fibre and the fact that it has similar properties to asbestos, well, I think that somebody got a bit concerned and thought maybe we should think about banning this. But they may not have known how extensive the use of carbon fibre is across the industry in motor vehicles today, particularly EVs. I mean, it's a key element of how you keep the weight down in the production of an EV. And there is one other concern regarding carbon fibre, and that's what happens when it catches on fire. Now, obviously, we know that EV fires are very difficult, if not impossible, to stop. So when the battery pack has thermal runaway and that battery pack catches on fire, you just can't put it out. That then spreads to burning the carbon fibre around it. The carbon fibre then gives off some very toxic chemicals. So there is that to think about. However, I think the bigger concern is around recycling. So at the rate that carbon fibre is being used in mass-produced vehicles, we really do need sustainable and safe ways of recycling it. There is a lot that has already happened to make carbon fibre recycling sustainable and safe. And with further investment, the sustainability and safety of recycling carbon fibre will only get better. So don't worry if, like me, you're a bit of a carbon addict. Carbongeddon is not nigh. It's not going to be the end of carbon fibre in motor vehicles for a while to come yet. Today's video has been slightly different to the usual format. I hope you found it useful and interesting. I'll leave a link in the description to our podcast, The Radiator Arms, where me, James of JayEmm on Cars, and Will, aka Will the Plank, talk about a host of topics that are of interest to car enthusiasts across the board. If I don't see you in one of the other videos, I hope to see you at the Radiator Arms. Bye-bye.